long. ഒരു 7th 8th സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് തൊട്ടേ I wanted to be a civil servant. See, at that time, എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല what an IAS officer is. അങ്ങനെ വലിയ ഐഡിയ ഒന്നുമില്ല. പക്ഷെ I wanted to be this person because നമ്മൾ കുറെ സിവിൽ സർവൻസിനെ പറ്റി കേൾക്കുമല്ലോ. Again, എന്റെ ഫേവറേറ്റ് സബ്ജക്ട് എപ്പോഴും സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ എഞ്ചിനീയേഴ്സ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുമെന്ന് അറിയില്ല, പക്ഷെ I never enjoyed studying science at all. എന്റെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സിനോട് ചോദിച്ചാൽ പറയും ഫിസിക്സ് മാത്സ് ഒക്കെയാണ് എന്റെ വീക്ക് ഏരിയാസ്. I always loved studying social science. Enki social science
but
answer
you did economics, no? Economics.
Yes, economics is either.
Okay.
Yes, economics aanu padichadu, but economics I regard economics as a social science. Again, we study human behavior and ultimately economics lu padikkunnathu. So I enjoy learning economics as well. So aa oru point ilana civil service enna dream ആദ്യമായിട്ട് വന്നത്.
അപ്പോ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ബാച്ചസിന് പോയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നോ? ഏതെങ്കിലും എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ കോച്ചിങ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നോ?
സ്റ്റേറ്റ് അക്കാഡമിയിൽ ഡിഗ്രി ഫസ്റ്റ് ഇയർ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഞാനൊരു ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ കോഴ്സ് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് അറൌണ്ട് ഒരു 6-7 months ആണ്. സൺഡേ മാത്രമുള്ള ഒരു ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഐ ഹാവ് അറ്റൻഡഡ് ദാറ്റ്.
അതുണ്ടായിരുന്നു അല്ലേ? ഓക്കെ. പിന്നെ ഒരു ഈ 3 years എക്കണോമിക്സ് പഠിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണോ ഒരു സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ട് ഈ എക്സാം എഴുതണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതോ തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ തന്നെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നോ അവസാനം ആഫ്റ്റർ 3 years I will write the UPSC എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഡിസിഷൻ?
ഇല്ല, ലൈക്ക് ഐ ഓൾവേസ് വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ഗിവ് ദിസ് എക്സാം എ ചാൻസ്, അങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ഡിഗ്രി സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ ആഫ്റ്റർ 3 years എഴുതുമെന്നുള്ളൊരു ഹോപ്പിലല്ല സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തത്. ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു, ഞാൻ ആദ്യം വിചാരിച്ചിരുന്നത് PG ചെയ്യാം. PG ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഒരു സെക്യൂർ ആകുമല്ലോ, ലൈക്ക് അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് ഒരു സെക്യൂർ ഫീലിംഗ് ആകും. ഇൻസെക്യൂരിറ്റി ഡിഗ്രി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഉടനെ ഇറങ്ങുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ഇൻസെക്യൂരിറ്റി ആണ്. യുവർ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് വുഡ് ബി ഡൂയിങ് PG. അപ്പൊ 2 years കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇഫ് അറ്റ് ഓൾ യു ആർ നോട്ട് ക്ലിയറിംഗ് ദി എക്സാമിനേഷൻ, നമ്മൾ ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു UG ആയിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻ കുറച്ച് ഇൻസെക്യൂരിറ്റി ഫീലിംഗ് തരുന്നതാണ്. സോ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പ്ലാൻ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ഡിഗ്രി കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആവുന്ന ടൈം, അതായത് 2018 ഒരു ഇനീഷ്യൽ മാർച്ച് ഏപ്രിൽ ടൈമിലാണ് ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് സീരിയസ്ലി തിങ്കിങ് അബൌട്ട് ഇറ്റ്. PGക്ക് പോകണോ ആൻഡ് ഓർ കോച്ചിങ് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യണം. ആൻഡ് ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് PG എൻട്രൻസ് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, 2 എൻട്രൻസ് ഒക്കെ എഴുതി. പ്ലാനിങ് ടു ജോയിൻ ഇക്കണോമിക്സ് PG ചെയ്യാമെന്നൊരു ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് ദെൻ ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ഗിവ് ദിസ് എക്സാമിനേഷൻ എ ചാൻസ് സിൻസ് വെരി ലോങ്. അപ്പോൾ ഐ തോട്ട് വൈ നോട്ട് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ഇറ്റ് യങ്. എന്തായാലും PG കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് തിരിച്ചിങ്ങോട്ട് വരും, അപ്പൊ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് ആദ്യമേ വരാന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു.
ദൈവം സഹായിച്ച്
എത്തുകയും ചെയ്തു.
ഓക്കെ. പിന്നെ മാം പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഫോർ ദോസ് ഹു ഡിഡ്ന്റ് ഹിയർ ഷീ വെന്റ് ടു ഫോർച്യൂൺ IAS അക്കാഡമി. ആൻഡ് അവിടെ നിന്നാണോ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക അവേഴ്സ് പെർ ഡേ ഓർ പാറ്റേൺ ഓഫ് സ്റ്റഡി അതുണ്ടായിരുന്നു? What was your regular schedule of learning?
Okay, June 2018 തൊട്ടാണ് I seriously preparation start ചെയ്തത്. And the schedule was fortunately റീഡിംഗ് റൂം ഉണ്ട്. സോ ഞാൻ റീഡിംഗ് റൂമിൽ ഇരുന്നാണ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത് ഫുൾ. ഒരു 7:30 ആകുമ്പോൾ I used to go from home എന്ന് പോകുമായിരുന്നു. 8 o'clock റീഡിംഗ് റൂം എത്തും. ഒരു 8 to 10 എന്നും ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ ആയിരുന്നു. Like every day I used to start with newspaper. 2 hours after newspaper, ഇനീഷ്യലി ഒരു ഓഗസ്റ്റ് വരെ, ജൂൺ ജൂലൈ ഓഗസ്റ്റ് വരെ NCERTs ആണ് ഞാൻ വായിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. ലൈക്ക് വി ഹാവ് ടു കവർ NCERTs ഫസ്റ്റ്. സോ NCERTs ഫിനിഷ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പോയിന്റ് ഓഫ് ടൈം വരെ ആഫ്റ്റർ ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് NCERTs. 1:30 to 5:30 എനിക്ക് ക്ലാസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, പ്രിലിംസ് ക്ലാസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സോ ഐ അറ്റൻഡഡ് ദി ക്ലാസ്. 5:30 to 6 ബ്രേക്ക് ടൈം ആണ്. പോയി ചായയൊക്കെ കുടിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. അവിടെ ഒരു ചായക്കടയുണ്ട്, ഞങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും ഫേവറേറ്റ് ഒരു ചായക്കടയുണ്ട്. ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് 6 to 8 ഓപ്ഷണൽ ക്ലാസ്സസ് ഉണ്ട്. എല്ലാ ദിവസവും ഓപ്ഷണൽ ഇല്ല. ഓപ്ഷണൽ ഉള്ള ദിവസം 6 to 8 ഓപ്ഷണൽ ക്ലാസ് ആൻഡ് 8 to 9 അഗെയിൻ അന്ന് ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പഠിപ്പിച്ച പോർഷൻസ് റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യുമായിരുന്നു. ഓപ്ഷണൽ ക്ലാസ്സസ് ഇല്ലാത്ത ഡേയ്സിൽ 6 to 9 വുഡ് ബി ഫുള്ളി റിവിഷൻ, ലൈക്ക് റിവിഷൻ ഇൻ ദ സെൻസ് ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ടോപ്പിക്സ് പഠിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. വീട്ടിൽ വന്നിട്ട് അഗെയിൻ ഒരു 10 o'clock 9:30 ആകുമ്പോൾ I used to reach home. ഒരു 10 to 12 അഗെയിൻ I used to study. മോസ്റ്റ്ലി സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ബുക്സ് ആണ് ആ ഒരു ടൈം പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. ഇപ്പം ലൈക് പ്രിപ്പറേഷനിൽ കുറച്ചെങ്കിലും സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്ത ആളോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും സ്ട്രാറ്റജി വീഡിയോ ആണെങ്കിൽ യുഡ് ബി നോയിങ് പോളിറ്റിക്ക് നമ്മളിപ്പം ലക്ഷ്മി അങ്ങനെ പഠിക്കും, അങ്ങനെ കുറച്ച് സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ബുക്സ് ഉണ്ട്. സോ ആ ഒരു ടൈമിൽ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ബുക്സ് പഠിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ഇതായിരുന്നു ഫോർ എ ലോങ് ടൈം. ഒരു ഒക്ടോബർ വരെയൊക്കെ ഈ ഒരു ഷെഡ്യൂളിൽ പോയി. ഒക്ടോബർ ആയപ്പോൾ പ്രിലിംസ് ടെസ്റ്റ് സീരീസ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തു. ആഫ്റ്റർ പ്രിലിംസ് ടെസ്റ്റ് സീരീസ് ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റിംഗ് മോർ ഓൺ ദാറ്റ്. പ്രിലിംസ് ടെസ്റ്റ് സീരീസിൽ ഒരു സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ഇഫ് മോഡേൺ ഹിസ്റ്ററിയുടെ ടെസ്റ്റ് സീരീസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ ഏകദേശം ഒരു ഹാഫ് പോർഷൻ കാണും. ലൈക് മോഡേൺ ഹിസ്റ്ററി സിലബസിന്റെ ഏകദേശം ഹാഫ് ആയിരിക്കും you are supposed to write in one examination. Along with that, ഒരു മന്തിലെ കറണ്ട് അഫയേഴ്സ് ആൻഡ് ഒരു മന്തിലെ യോജന. സോ ഒരു വീക്ക് ടൈം കിട്ടും ഇത്രയും പഠിക്കാൻ. ആ വീക്കിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് 4 days Monday to Thursday I used to study that. ഫ്രൈഡേ ഈ പഠിച്ചതൊക്കെ കൂടി റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യായിരുന്നു. സാറ്റർഡേ ടെസ്റ്റ് ആണ്. ആഫ്റ്റർ ദ ടെസ്റ്റ് അഗെയിൻ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യും. മാർക്ക് കുറവുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ ഏരിയാസ് നോക്കും, എവിടെയാണ് മിസ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്തത്, അങ്ങനെ ഇംപ്രൂവ്മെന്റ്സ് വരുത്തുമായിരുന്നു. സോ ദിസ് വെന്റ് ടിൽ പ്രിലിംസ് വരെ. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ജൂൺ 2019 ആയിരുന്നു പ്രിലിംസ്. ആഫ്റ്റർ ജൂൺ ടു സെപ്റ്റംബർ 20th 2019 ആയിരുന്നു എന്റെ മെയിൻസ് എക്സാമിനേഷൻ. ആ ഒരു 3 months ഈ എൻറ്റയർ പീരീഡിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന അത്രയും മെയിൻസും ഓപ്ഷണലും ആയിരുന്നു.
പിന്നെ അടുത്ത റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വണ്ടർഫുൾ. അതെ, വണ്ടർഫുൾ. ഓക്കെ. ആൻഡ് മാം പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ റീഡിംഗ് ഒരു 2 hours വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. നൗ ഫോർ ദോസ് ഹു ആർ നോട്ട് വെരി ഫെമിലിയർ, എന്തൊക്കെയായിരിക്കും ഒരു ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ മാം ഏറ്റവും കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ ഏതായിരുന്നു? അത് എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു ഒരു പാറ്റേൺ ഫോളോ ചെയ്തത് ഫോർ ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ റീഡിംഗ്?
ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പറിൽ എല്ലാ ആർട്ടിക്കിൾസും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് അല്ല. UPSC has given a syllabus. നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഈ പ്രിപ്പറേഷനിൽ അറിയേണ്ടത് you need to study from an examination point of view. പഠിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് കാര്യം പഠിക്കാനുള്ള സ്കോപ്പ് ഉണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചു പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വിൽ ഡീവിയേറ്റ് ഫ്രം ദി ആ ഒരു പാത്ത് നിന്ന് ഡീവിയേറ്റ് ആയിപ്പോകും. സോ ഒരു സെറ്റ് സിലബസ് തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ഫസ്റ്റ് തിങ് വുഡ് ബി നമ്മൾ ആ സിലബസ് നന്നായിട്ട് മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. പ്രിലിംസിൽ സിലബസ് ഉണ്ട്. പ്രിലിംസിൽ ടോപ്പിക്സ് ജസ്റ്റ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടേ ഉള്ളൂ. സബ്ജക്ട്സ് ലൈക്ക് പോളിറ്റി, ഇക്കണോമിക് ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ്, ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ അഫയേഴ്സ് അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടേ ഉള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ ഫോർ മെയിൻസ് വി ഹാവ് എ ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് സിലബസ്. GS1 ഏതൊക്കെ ടോപ്പിക്സ് ആണ്, GS2, GS3, GS4 എക്സാക്ട് ആയിട്ട്. ഇപ്പം ഇക്കണോമിക്സ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ they have written public distribution system, agriculture, then technology for farmers, അങ്ങനെ ഏരിയാസ് സ്പെസിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ആ ഒരു സിലബസ് നമ്മളൊരു കുറച്ച് ലൈക്ക് മേ ബി 5 times യു നീഡ് ടു റീഡ് സോ ദാറ്റ് നമുക്ക് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ ദിസ് ഈസ് ആൻ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ എന്ന്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ഹൗ യു ഷുഡ് റീഡ് എ ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ. ആൻഡ് പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ ന്യൂസസ് മോസ്റ്റ്ലി നമുക്ക് അവോയ്ഡ് ചെയ്യാം. UPSC വിൽ നോട്ട് ആസ്ക് ഹൈലി പൊളിറ്റിസൈസ്ഡ് ന്യൂസ് ചോദിക്കില്ല. ഞാൻ സ്പോർട്സ് ഏരിയ അങ്ങനെ വായിക്കാറില്ല. സ്പോർട്സിൽ വലിയ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് ആ പേജസ് ഐ യൂസ് ടു സ്കിപ്പ്. ദെൻ റീജിയണൽ ന്യൂസ് പെട്ടെന്നൊന്ന് വായിച്ചു പോകുമായിരുന്നു. വാട്ട് ഐ യൂസ് ടു കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് മോർ ഓൺ വാസ് അഗെയിൻ സിലബസിലുള്ള റിലവന്റ് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നുന്ന ആർട്ടിക്കിൾസ്. പിന്നെ എഡിറ്റോറിയൽസ് നന്നായിട്ട് വായിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ ഇസ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ്. നമുക്ക് മെയിൻസിന് എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ഹൗ ലൈക്ക് ഇഫ് ഐ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ഹൗ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ്, ഒരു ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ സേ ഇഫ് ആൻ ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ കംസ് അബൌട്ട് urbanization, അതിൽ urbanization ഇഷ്യൂസ്, ഇന്ത്യൻ urbanization ഇഷ്യൂസ് കാണും. അതിന്റെ സൊല്യൂഷൻസും അവർ തന്നെ തന്നിരിക്കും. സോ ഇഫ് വി ആർ ഏബിൾ ടു മേക്ക് ഇറ്റ് ഇൻ ടു പോയിന്റേഴ്സ്, ഇപ്പം പോയിന്റ് ഇഷ്യൂസ് ആണ് ചോദിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വീക്ക് ഗവേണൻസ്, ആബ്സെൻസ് ഓഫ് പ്രോപ്പർ പ്ലാനിങ്, ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പോയിന്റ്സ് അതേ കാണും. പക്ഷെ ആ പോയിന്റ്സ് ഭയങ്കര ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ ഇത് നമുക്ക് വളരെ ചെറുതായിട്ട് ഒരു 3-4 പോയിന്റ്സിലെ ഇഷ്യൂസും ഒരു വേ ഫോർവേഡ് ഹൗ വി ക്യാൻ ചേഞ്ച് ഇറ്റ്, അങ്ങനെ കുറച്ചൊരു 4 to 5 അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 6 പോയിന്റ്സിൽ ഒരു ചെറിയ പേപ്പറിൽ എഴുതി വെക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് വിഡ് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആസ് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ലാസ്റ്റ് മെയിൻസ് ടൈമിൽ നമുക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. സോ എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ വി നീഡ് ടു കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ്. എഗെയിൻ എഡിറ്റോറിയൽ കുറച്ച് ഹൈലി പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ ന്യൂസ് വരും, അത് അവോയ്ഡ് ചെയ്യാം. ദെൻ നേഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഹെഡിങ്ങിലുള്ള ന്യൂസസ് ഒക്കെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണ്. എഗെയിൻ ബിസിനസ് പേജ് വരുമ്പോൾ ഇക്കണോമിക് റിലേറ്റഡ് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾസ് മാത്രം നമ്മൾ വായിച്ചാൽ മതി. യു ക്യാൻ സ്കിപ്പ് ലൈക്ക് പ്രോഫിറ്റ്, ഈ കമ്പനി ഇത്ര പ്രോഫിറ്റ് ആയി, ന്യൂസ് ആ ഒരു ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ന്യൂസസ് നമുക്ക് അവോയ്ഡ് ചെയ്യാം. ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ അഫയേഴ്സിലും you can avoid the political news part. അല്ലാതെ കുറെ റിഫോംസോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ if some news comes about belt and road initiative, ഇന്ത്യയുടെ റിലേഷൻ വിത്ത് അതർ കൺട്രീസ്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ന്യൂസസ് ഒക്കെ കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. പക്ഷെ ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ റീഡിംഗ് is very important. Like you have to be aware about what is happening around.
And you would recommend the Hindu, അല്ലേ?
Yes, I have continued. Like ഞാൻ full ഈ 2 years വായിച്ചത് ഹിന്ദു ആണ്. I would recommend Hindu, but ഇന്ത്യൻ എക്സ്പ്രസും റെക്കമെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. ലൈക്ക് നോട്ട് എ ന്യൂ ഇന്ത്യൻ എക്സ്പ്രസ്, ഒരു ഓൾഡ് ഇന്ത്യൻ എക്സ്പ്രസ്, ന്യൂ അല്ല, ലൈക്ക് ഡൽഹി ഏരിയയിൽ സർക്കുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ഇന്ത്യൻ എക്സ്പ്രസ് ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ ഉണ്ട്. അവരുടെ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻഡ് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾസ് ഒക്കെ ബെറ്റർ ആണ്. സോ either ഹിന്ദു ഓർ ഇന്ത്യൻ എക്സ്പ്രസ്. ഐ ഹാഡ് ഫോളോഡ് ഹിന്ദു.
Okay, wonderful. Ma'am, എന്നിട്ട് മാം ഓപ്ഷനെ കുറിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞായിരുന്നു. And for what was your option? And for the example of engineers, നമുക്ക് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഒത്തിരി engineers അവരുടെ മെയിൻ സബ്ജക്ട് സ്റ്റഡി എടുക്കാറില്ല. Because the fact is we're competing against IITs, NITs പഠിച്ചിറങ്ങിയവരായിട്ട്. So what is your advice when it comes to option, especially ഓരോ വർഷം ആദ്യം 2 ഓപ്ഷൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു, പിന്നെ ഒന്നാക്കി, പിന്നെ അത് മാറ്റുന്ന ഒരു കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ ഉണ്ട്, പബ്ലിക് അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേഷൻ പേപ്പർ ഫിക്സ് ആക്കും, അങ്ങനെ എന്തൊക്കെയോ പറഞ്ഞ് വലിയ കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ റേസ് ചെയ്യണം ഈ ഓപ്ഷൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. What would be your advice on taking options?
എന്റെ ഓപ്ഷൻ സോഷ്യോളജി ആണ്. See, I would recommend 3 things നിങ്ങൾ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യണം ബിഫോർ സെലക്ടിങ് an option. First would be നമ്മുടെ ഏരിയ ഓഫ് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ആണോ നോക്കണം. ഓപ്ഷൻ is something നമ്മൾ ഒരുപാട് കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. We have to sit and study. ഒരുപാട് hours we have to spend on optional എല്ലാം. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമല്ലാത്ത ഒരു സബ്ജക്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സംതിങ് വി ഡു നോട്ട് സ്റ്റഡി എൻജോയ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ച് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ആയിരിക്കും അത്രയും അവേഴ്സ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യാൻ. സോ ഫസ്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റഡ് ആണോ നോക്കണം. എവറി ഓപ്ഷണൽ ക്യാൻ ബി സ്കോറിംഗ് ഓർ നോട്ട് സ്കോറിംഗ് ഡിപ്പെൻഡിങ് ഓൺ ആർ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ്. സോ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഇസ് യുവർ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ്. സെക്കൻഡ്, നമുക്ക് ഗൈഡൻസ് വേണമെന്ന് തോന്നുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഗൈഡൻസ് അവൈലബിൾ ആണോ നോക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതായിരിക്കും. ഞാൻ എക്കണോമിക്സ് എടുക്കാത്ത വൺ റീസൺ ഇസ് എക്കണോമിക്സിന് ഗൈഡൻസ് കുറവാണ് പൊതുവെ കേരളത്തിൽ. സോ ആൻഡ് അപ്പോ ഫുൾ ഞാൻ തനിയെ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുമായിരുന്നു. ആൻഡ് ഐ വാസ് നോട്ട് കംഫർട്ടബിൾ വിത്ത് ദാറ്റ് ഐഡിയ. ഒരു കുറച്ചധികം ഫുൾ നോട്ട്സ് സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ഓപ്ഷനിൽ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുക കുറച്ച് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് സംഭവമാണ്. സോ ഗൈഡൻസ് ആണ് സെക്കൻഡ് ഞാൻ നോക്കിയ ഒരു റീസൺ. തേർഡ് ഇസ് ഗോ ത്രൂ ദ സിലബസ് ആൻഡ് ദി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പേഴ്സ്. നമുക്ക് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പേഴ്സ് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാകും വെദർ വി വിൽ ബി ഏബിൾ ടു റൈറ്റ് എ ഗുഡ് ആൻസർ. ആ ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട ഏരിയ ആണോ, നമ്മൾ കംഫർട്ടബിൾ ആയിരിക്കും, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങൾ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. സോ പ്രീവിയസ് ഇയർ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പേഴ്സ് നോക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ്.
Okay. And what were the papers that required more attention? മലയാളം അറിയാത്തവരുണ്ടെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു കേട്ടോ മാം. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലേക്ക് സ്വിച്ച് ചെയ്യാം. Okay. So what were the papers that required more attention, like as compared to another paper, normal papers? What papers required in prelims? What papers required more attention?
Personally, if you ask about me, I give my 100% concentration for science and technology. Because I told you earlier, I'm not so good in science. Yes. So I had difficulty in studying this biotechnology concepts. And the importance of science and technology in prelims is increasing in the current years. So I had given separate attention to study science and technology. Areas I was comfortable with was modern history, polity, economics. These were my scoring areas where I didn't have to put in that much effort. But for environment and ecology, geography, science and technology, for these topics I had given, I had put in a lot of effort because I'm not that much comfortable in these areas.
Okay, correct. And what about the CSAT paper? How was the CSAT paper?
Okay. I think CSAT would not be that much of a problem for you people because I guess for your placement and all, you are doing this quantitative aptitude test and all. But I have studied mathematics only till 10th standard. So my prelims examination was on June 2nd, 2019. From January 2019, every day for 1 hour or so, I used to study maths because I had forgotten all those formula. About average, simple interest, compound interest. I forgot all these areas. So I used to write all the formulas and I used to do questions from previous year question paper. Then I had prepared for reasoning part also. In reasoning, areas like syllogism, then directions, blood relation, these areas of importance. Directions and then again the seating arrangements. See, these are questions normally that we find in any quantitative aptitude test papers. So I tried to solve these questions so that I can understand whether I'll be able to score in these areas or not. Then I had done also some reading comprehension. See, if you are not comfortable with solving questions in English, if you find it difficult to understand a passage and come at a right conclusion, then I would recommend doing the comprehension part as well. So I had prepared for CSAT for like some 3 months.
Okay. Thank you. And mains, and for the mains, the GS papers, GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4. What was GS3? What was the hardest paper for you to study? That is.
The hardest paper was
GS4. Requires
GS4,
okay.
ethics.
Ethics is hard.
Yeah, ethics.
Usually it is supposed as a very easy paper in
Ethics
comparison
is
to.
easy. See, ethics is easy, but I had faced a lot of problem in writing ethics answer. My first ethics answer was like it was full of fun. I didn't know where to write an example, how to write an ethics answer. See, for all the other GS answer, we can write like introduction, body, conclusion, and a way forward. It is pretty simple to write other answers, but in the ethics part, you have to be a bit more philosophical. So I had found that philosophical part difficult. But then how I worked my ethics paper was, in ethics, again, there is a detailed syllabus for ethics. There is term, the first thing I did was, I decoded the entire syllabus. There is terms like integrity, tolerance, compassion, and there is a lot of ethical values described in that paper. I took each word, I wrote the meaning, I made a definition for each word, then I found an example. And this had benefited me a lot in the current mains examination also. The first question in this year's ethics paper was, what are the important values in public service? So So I wrote each value and I had a set example with me. I had found the examples of some civil servant officers like V.D. Sharma, who had worked in Chhattisgarh Tribal Department. Then Smrita Sabarwal, she is a Karnataka cadre IS officer. So I had found the examples of some IS officers. Then some general ethical personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa. So I had a set of examples which I could use in the mains paper, and I think that worked. The other thing I did for the ethics paper was I tried to use some codes in the answer to make it a bit more philosophical and to make it look like an ethics answer. I started using codes. So I for a word like tolerance, I had a code. I prepared some 4 sheets of paper with just codes for every word, from tolerance to emotional intelligence, then integrity. There were different words. See, if you go through the ethics syllabus, you will see a lot of words, and I had a code for every single word. So these are things that I have done beforehand, and I could use all this in the mains examination.
It is all about those little things that matter in the end, isn't it?
In mains paper, it is about these little things, because everyone who comes, who prepares for this examination studies a lot, and there is no dearth of knowledge if you ask me. Everybody knows these things, every single person. But the question is whether you are able to reproduce it in the paper or not. The person evaluating the answer sheet does not know whether you have studied this much hours, whether you know this question or not. The only way they are going to evaluate is by your answer. So you have to make the life of that examiner easy. That examiner should understand that yes, this child knows this the answer, and that is how you should work for mains as well. Make the points more visible. Use examples, use maps in your papers, use case studies, and that will fetch more marks is what I think.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, ma'am. And the 2 pass-only papers, the essays, English and the native language paper, how were they?
I had selected Hindi as the regional language. I
Hindi?
did my Hindi, yes.
Oh,
I'll tell you a story. I did my schooling in Kendriya Vidyalayas.
Okay, makes sense.
So I had studied Malayalam till 5th standard, and I know to write Malayalam also. But I have this huge issue of spelling mistakes, and I couldn't find the right Malayalam words. Like before industrialization, I used to find I had difficulty in finding the right Malayalam word for that. So I had applied for Hindi, but again Hindi I had prepared, because before some 1 month before the mains examination, I wrote a Hindi essay. You have to write an essay of 6 pages, but I was not able to write the essay because I didn't again know the Hindi words for all these things like sustainable development, women empowerment. So how I worked Hindi was I wrote some 50 to 100 words, like I told you, sustainable development. I googled it. The Hindi word is Satat Vikas. Likewise, I prepared a list of some 60 to 100 words which I can use for the essay, and I found the Hindi words. Then I studied Muhavre. Muhavre is the idiom. Samanat, synonyms. I bought a Hindi book, and I studied some half hour to 1 hour every day some Hindi words and worked on the grammar. So I had prepared for Hindi. English is not much of an issue. See, both Hindi and the regional paper and English are qualifying papers. You just need some 75 to 80 marks out of 250. And there is ample scope for you to get these marks. There is an essay, there is a prosy, there is a reading comprehension, then there is some grammar questions, synonyms. This is a pattern of the question paper. So it's not that difficult to fetch mark. But if you are having any issue in the language, prepare bit. You can prepare just 1 hour every day for a week or so, and it will be done.
Okay, wonderful. And we have a very, very asked question, especially for starters into the IAS journey. What undergraduate degree is best for acquiring the IAS post or the IFS post? What would be your take on this?
See, you can clear this examination with any degree, whether with a BA or BSc, an engineering or a medical or a law profession. See, and we are seeing that people from different arenas are clearing this examination.
Definitely.
And what we are doing in graduation or even in our post-graduation does not matter at all. It is the work you do after your graduation. Once you start seriously preparing, whether you are giving your 100%, whether you are doing that consistent work, that is the action, and whether you are correcting your weaknesses. Every person will have so many weaknesses. You have to identify that weakness and correct it. This is the most important thing in this journey. I do not think that the graduation part matters at all. You can we have to study what is of our interest. I like social sciences, so I went to that part. Someone else would like law, he would choose a law profession. In the sense that law in his graduation, and somebody who likes engineering could take that. It doesn't matter in this journey at all.
Definitely, beautiful advice. And ma'am, next question is, how was it like facing the most elite board of people for the personality test? How was that experience going to Delhi? How was the whole thing? What were the questions asked? How was that experience altogether?
That was a very good experience. I told you earlier, I had faced a bit of difficulty in my interview preparation phase because of the stage fear thing. But on the day of interview, I was not tense because I had told myself before that you are going to rock it. You will not be tensed. You will say these answers. See, I had consoled myself saying all these things. But honestly, on the during my interview, I couldn't answer some questions. I had questions like average impact of average increasing average revenue per unit in telecom sector, then functioning of CBSE. I couldn't answer some 2-3 questions, but I didn't panic. I honestly told them that, sir, I don't know the answer. Then
I don't know the answer.
The person helped me saying, okay, there are 2 schools of thought regarding this, and he explained it and he asked me which I will choose. Then if you see, what I believe is they are not testing knowledge in your interview at all. They are going to check your personality. They are just going to check whether will you be flustered. If you do not know an answer, will you fluster so much and will you create a huge issue out of it, or are you going to face it with a calm mind? And then there were questions which I could answer very well. Like I answered confidently. I had questions like why social science after 10th, then a question on Indian economy, a question on malnutrition. In these areas, I could answer better. But on it was so the overall experience was a mixed one, with some answers answering and some answers not answering. But it's a good experience because all those people sitting there have experience more than of our age. Like they would be having experience 30 plus years, and that would be like some 150 years cumulative, 150 years experience sitting in front of you. Obviously, you know nothing in front of them. That is a plain fact. You just have to say what you know, and you just have to stay calm and answer. That is what I think the interview is all about.
Wonderful. Okay, and for the people who are new and just talk about how tough this exam is with almost 50 lakh people, and getting into the top tier 800 is almost a 0.0006% thing, and what we have today is a literal legend in front of us. All India
That's
45
like so
rank.
much. No. That's
No,
like
we're
so
honored
much.
to have you here, ma'am. And we also
Thank
have
you
to
so
ask you
much.
if this thing getting IAS, did you offer IAS or IFS? What was it? IAS, no?
My first preference is IAS.
IAS, wonderful. And getting into the IAS in the first attempt is something very remarkable in itself, that a lot of people lose hope after like 5 or 6 tries. It is some completely a very strenuous journey. So what would have been your plan if you didn't crack it this first time? What would be your strategy?
In fact, I started preparing for prelims from August 1st onwards. The results came on August 4th. I returned. My interview was on July 23rd. At Delhi, I returned on July 26th after the medical test and all. So I took a 1 week's break. I watched movies till July 30th first. From August 1st, I had started preparing for prelims because, see, again, this is a journey where you cannot say completely that you will clear or not. There is an equal chance of you clearing and not clearing. So I was confused. I didn't completely believe that I'll clear it this time. So my the thing I planned was I'll give the next attempt because like I told earlier, I wanted to clear this examination. So I was not going to quit. I wanted to give it another try, and if I had not cleared it this time, I would have written the prelims on October 4, 2020.
Wonderful. And another question which came up is the importance of test series and books. What kind of books would you recommend to the people who missed out on your first section? Books and test series. How did you work your way through those?
Okay, should I say the book list?
I think she asked for the book.
List?
He asked for the book list. Yes, maybe the important books. If you could.
I'll start with prelims. For polity, it is Lakshmikant. For history, for ancient history, I did old NCERT by R.S. Sharma. Medieval history, old NCERT by Satish Chandra. For economics, I had not referred any standard textbook. I followed only Fortune Notes. because I had most concepts, I had clarity on most concepts. So I didn't purchase a book for economics. For modern history, it is A Brief History of Modern India by Rajiv Ahar. That's a book by Spectrum Publication. For science and technology, I prepared only current affairs. I had not gone for any general science textbook. I did only current affairs. For environment, again, I did fortune notes. And then there is a book by Shankar IAS Economy. Shankar IAS, which, where all the concepts are explained in detail. So I followed that book. Geography, I followed NCERTs, and there is a book by G.C. Leong. Physical, I had forgotten the book's name. Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Fundamentals of Physical Geography by G.C. Leong. This was the book list for prelims. Rest, you have to follow current affairs for prelims. For mains, I didn't follow any particular textbook. I prepared notes for every. Like I told you earlier, I went through the syllabus, and for each word in the syllabus, I had notes. I had at least 5 points and an example regarding that, a statistics regarding that. And for mains, I mostly followed fortune notes. See, I had, because I did coaching, I had fortune notes for all these subjects. So along with the standard books, I had referred that as well. This is the general book list I followed, which is the one mostly followed by everybody. Now, the importance of test series. I believe test series are very important because only with test series, you can check whether you are in the right direction. See, I told you earlier, everybody studies, but how do you check yourself whether you are able to solve a prelims question, whether you are able to apply the knowledge that you have, or whether you are able to write a proper answer or not? All these you can confirm only by doing tests. And it's very important to do prelims test series because you have to solve 100 questions in 2 hours. And most of the in prelims, we have a bit of analytical question, you have some factual question, it will be a mixed paper. And there is topics from different areas. So only with doing more tests, you can analyze your strong and weak points. See, I told you earlier, my strong areas are modern history, polity. These are the areas where I'm comfortable with. So if by doing test series, you can identify the areas where you are not comfortable with, and then you can prepare more on those areas. Again, you will get some additional questions from these test series. You have to see, we'll get a detailed key after every test. So read those answer keys and note down the points that you earlier didn't know. So this is how prelims test series help you. When you come to mains test series, mains is all about answer writing. You have to convince the examiner that you know this answer better. And a person who is not comfortable in writing an answer will find it difficulty in the original mains examination as well. There is a structure for mains answer writing. There is an introduction, body, and conclusion. And only with practice, you'll be able to write a better answer. Only with practice, you can interlink things. See, in mains, what happens is sometimes you would be studying an example for GS3, but there would be a question in GS2 where you can use that. So you have to interlink things. All these interlinking or these speed, again, mains examination happen in 5 days. First 3 days, you have to write total 5 papers. That is, you have to write first day is essay. The second day, morning, you have to write GS1. Afternoon, you have to write GS2. Third day, morning, you have to write GS3. And afternoon, you have to write GS4. So it's very taxing.
Very strenuous, yes.
Very strenuous. Like you will both physically and mentally. So you have to gain that practice. Only then you will be able to write faster and you will be able to complete paper. And completing paper is important in mains examination. Because if you leave a question, you will gain nothing from that. But if you attempt it, see, there is no question. That is in mains examination, you know the answer of almost every question. See, they are just asking analytical or opinion of some question, and you'll be able to write something. And write that something. It will fetch you 1 or 2 marks, which is very important in mains.
Very, very important.
So test series are
but even one quarter of a mark makes a big difference in rankings,
yes,
right?
It makes a big difference.
Okay. And another common question was, who was your inspiration in joining the civil service or attempting for it?
A single person has not inspired me. To be very honest, it was the social science subject that had inspired me. I had learned about so many life stories. In social science, there is a social and political life textbook, which most of you must be knowing. We learned the stories about so many people in that textbook. And that text had influenced me right from 6th standard. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, every single class that textbook had influenced me. And I loved studying the stories of people. and that made that desire to do something, to bring that change or to be part of that change. That was my motivation always. And having an objective is very important, because like I told you earlier, this is a long process. I graduated in April 2018 and my results came out in August 2020. So this has been a journey of more than 2 years for me. And there would come moments when you would feel stressed, when you will feel sad, when you will feel like, are you going to clear this examination or not? In all these moments, if you have a strong objective of why you want to be here, and if you have that desire to do it and that willingness to take risk, it helps a lot. So that has been my inspiration always.
Wonderful. And another important question is how one revises or how one takes notes, especially with the online note, Evernote, OneNote platforms of taking notes online. How did you take your notes, and what was the revision like preparing for mains and prelims? What was your strategy then?
Okay. First, I'll talk about note making. I used to make very little notes from newspaper, and that note used to be in Evernote. I had created some 20 notebooks in Evernote, depending on the syllabus, dividing it into various syllabus headings. And then I used to link, if I read an article, say about Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, I know that has to go in the women's section. So I used to clip it there. That is how I used to make notes from newspaper. For prelims, I have not made detailed notes at all. I read the standard books. And if at all I find this point as important or this point as more striking, I used to note it down above that page or nearby paper, or I used to take some papers and note it down. I didn't used to make a separate notebook or something like that. That was the same case with NCERTs. Okay, I forgot to tell you about NCERT. Start with 6th standard NCERT. We have to read.
A question
NCERTs
was asked about when to start. Yes.
Okay. So should I speak about NCERT now or later?
Yes, ma'am. After this, you can start about NCERT.
Okay, so I was talking about note making. I had not made separate notes for prelims, but for mains, yes, I had made notes. That was like, again, based on syllabus, I used to make very few points. See, my advice would be, do not make lengthy notes, because ultimately it matters whether you are able to revise these points or not. If you are not able to revise, you will not remember, and one will not be able to write it in the examination. So I had very concise note. I had made it a point to make concise note as far as possible. But I used to include examples, statistics, and case studies in my notebook always. If I had to give an example, it would be, while we read newspaper, we'll come across terms like Room for River Project by Netherlands. See, that is a flood control management. That is a very good example that you can use. You can, if a question about flood is being asked, you can write way forward and write Room for River Project, and that would convey the idea. So this is how I used to prepare my mains note. Yes, that is pretty much with the note making.
Note making. Okay, wonderful. And one question was asked about how was your sociology optional strategy, or how was your preparation for your sociology options?
I had taken coaching for sociology. I took coaching from Jeevan sir. So I had followed Jeevan sir's note. He would give note for every single topic in that syllabus. So I had followed his note. Other than his note, I followed, there's a book called Essential Sociology by Nitin Sangwan. He's an IAS officer. So I had followed that Essential Sociology book for the topics which were not in Jeevan sir's note, or to get that extra points. Then again, I had done answer writing for sociology in January and February 2019. Sir used to conduct SEDs, so I used to study diligently those very topics that were supposed to be in the examination that week, and I used to write answers. Initially, I had a problem with answer writing in sociology because again, in sociology, when it comes to your optional, you have to be an expert. You have to show that you are an expert in that subject. There, you have to use thinkers. If I speak about sociology, if we study a concept like family, there would come thinkers. Different thinkers would have different opinion about family as an institution. So you have to use that thinkers in the answer. That is how you make optional paper different. You have to use thinkers. You have to use theories. Even the optional paper, first paper is theory paper. The second paper is Indian society paper. So in the Indian society paper, you have to bring the thinkers and theories that you have studied in the paper 1. So this is how you should write an optional answer. And answer writing is important for optional as well, because only by answer writing you can improve it. So that's with Booklist and answer writing. The other thing about
and did you
Indian
practice
society.
answer writing daily, or how was
I
practicing
have
writing?
not practiced daily. I told you I used to write the test series. I used to write the test series, and if in some areas if I had difficulty, if I was not able to write a good answer there, then I used to write it like in 2-3 days. In 2 or 3 days, I used to write some answers because I had classes, both optional classes and the prelims mains classes throughout. I was not able to write answer daily, but in 2 days time, like every 2 days or every 3 days, you can write some 3-4 answer and do get it corrected or try to get a feedback for your answer, because we will not be able to evaluate our answer in a better manner. We would think that it's good, or a feedback always helps. A feedback from a person who knows how to write an answer will have more scope for, like, will ensure that you have improving. Only then we can track the improvement. So get a feedback for your answers.
A constant evaluation, re-evaluation process, no?
Yes, it is an evaluation process. You have to find your weaknesses and you have to correct it.
Okay, wonderful. And a question that is coming up again and again, your NCERT, what books and how it went on, NCERT.
Okay, so we have to start from class 6 NCERTs. From 6 to class 12, you have to read all the NCERTs, like history. 6 to 8, you have to read history, social and political life, and geography textbook. From 9th and 10th, there would be economics textbook as well. So you have to read the economics textbook as well. Plus 1 and plus 2, again, history, polity, geography, and economics textbook. Plus 1, there is a statistic textbook. You can skip that book. Other than that, you have to read all the NCERTs. So what I did was, some students or some candidates prepare notes for NCERTs. I have not prepared notes for NCERTs because I like this feeling of understanding that chapter as a whole. And I found almost, I think when you read the chapter as a whole, you have better chances of understanding. So what I used to do was, I used to write the important points in the nearby pages. I used to note that important points. For example, if you take the first chapter in 6th standard NCERT is about Paleolithic age. The Paleolithic sites is an important area. So I used to note down, like Bhimbedka, you find paintings here. You will get such points from the textbook while you read. I used to note these points down, but not in a separate book, in the textbook itself. But do read NCERTs, because NCERTs is the important place where you should start from. You will get an overall idea. And there are times when UPSC will ask direct questions from NCERTs as well.
NCERTs.
So NCERTs are important.
Very important. Okay. And ma'am, for the people who missed, we have almost 250 people now. You talked about your daily routine. A lot of them missed it. So can you please talk us through your daily routine again for preparing for the services?
Okay. So my daily routine, I told till October, it was like from 8 to 10, it was newspaper. 10 to 1 or 12:30, it would be NCERTs for the months till August or September. I'm not able to recollect correctly. Till August or September, I used to read NCERTs during this period. From 1:30, 5:30, I had classes. 6 to 8, I had optional class. If I didn't have optional class, then I used to study 6 to 9, again the standard textbook. I used to revise the class notes. I used to come back home around 9:30. From 10 to 12, again I used to read the standard books. After some 2-3 months of preparation, from November, I had mains classes. Mains classes started in Fortune during November. From November, I used to write 1 or 2 answers every 3 days.
Okay, thank you. And another very important question is, a lot of people find language, basically English is a very important part of the UPSC preparation. So how can people build their ability to write and convey English as a language more effectively?
English is important in the way that you should be in a position to communicate. While writing an answer, you should be able to communicate. Every language is a communication link. It's a communication link. So you need English just for communication. What you are writing, the examiner should understand that. In the interview phase, you should be able to communicate your ideas. So English is not that important. Generally, people think that you have to be so fluent in English to clear this examination. That is a misconception. You need to know English, enough English to convey your ideas. But I think the one way to improve English is by reading newspaper. if you read Hindu regularly, our vocabulary will increase. We'll be in a better be able to use it in a better manner. So just read newspaper. English will be fine.
Okay. And another very important question is preparation of current affairs. A lot of people don't find the newspaper enough and go to other journals. How do you revise or study current affairs?
The first thing is newspaper. Newspaper is very important in UPSC preparation. You have to read it diligently. So the first preparation material for current affairs is newspaper. The second, what I did was, see, people follow different materials, and almost every material is good enough. Everybody covers good amount of current affairs. What I followed was, every day I used to read Insights Daily Current Affairs. I used to read that every day. Then I used to read the Vision IAS monthly compilation. I used to read the compilation during test series time. I told you from October, the prelims test series had started. So I used to read the compilation from October onwards, but from June onwards, I used to read the daily current affairs and insights. That is how I prepared for current affairs throughout. Even like some 2 months before, for the interview preparation also, I used to read Vision monthly compilation and the newspapers.
Okay. And a repeated question is revision strategy, how to revise. What would be your generic opinion on how to revise?
It's important to revise because there is a lot to study, in the sense that you have to study different subjects. So and everything should be in the long term. It's not like you study today, you study the same thing some 3 times today, and then you will remember it for a long time. That's not how this process works. Everything that you do should be for a longer term. So what I used to do was, the way I used to read NCERT was, the first 3 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I used to read one NCERT. The next day and the other day, like Thursday, Friday, I used to revise the same textbook I had done these days. And that is how I did my revision during prelims test series as well. The portion for the prelims test series, I used to cover within 4 days. The next day, Friday, and sometimes during Saturday also, like the other 2 days was for revision. So what I studied in the first 4 days, I used to revise in the next 2 days. That is how I had always revised. For prelims, after March, our classes at Fortune stopped during March, and all the sectional test series were also over by then. So during the next 3 months, April and May, for the next 2 months, I used to revise all the standard textbooks. See, how you revise depends. I used to revise areas I was very weak at, like science and tech, geography. I used to give more concentration on those subjects, and I used because I could revise subjects like modern history at a larger pace. Like I could finish these subjects in less hours. So my revision strategy was to concentrate on subjects that I'm not at all confident with.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And another very important question, especially for people with a dream very early on, is how to manage both the civil service preparation and your undergraduate study together and get it at the first attempt itself. It's a very dreamed of method of study. So what would be your tips on how to do this? Like from your experience, could you try to...
It would be difficult to manage during our during our graduation days. That's a plain truth, because we have our graduation subjects to learn.
Definitely.
But I guess you can see, there are 7 days of a week. I would advise some 3 days you can concentrate on your graduation subject, and the other 4 days or 3 days you can concentrate on civil service preparation. I had not started preparing for civil services during my graduation days, so I do not know exactly how do you tackle it during that time, or how do you manage both, because I had prepared like some 2 years after my graduation diligently for this. So I'm not in a good position to give answer to that question, but I guess that's how you can manage.
Okay. And another very important question is, what kind of government report, you talked about case studies, what kind of government reports, or what are the important Supreme Court verdicts you had to go through to really, what did you have to go through for the examination mains or prelims?
If we talk about judgments, the most important judgments are given in polity itself. See, Keshwananda Bharati judgment, then okay, I'm not able to remember the other judgments, but I was thinking about that judgment, but I'm SR Bommai case. That was it. Thinking about. These are judgments that you will get in polity textbook itself. And this is very, these are useful. This year we had a question on basic structure in GS2, and I had used Keshavananda Bharati judgment. So the judgments that are like the old judgments, which are still relevant today, you will get it from Lakshmikant. Other than that, you do not have to concentrate much on the judgment unless you have PSIR as you have political science or public administration as your optional. You do not have to concentrate so much on the judgments name. You just have to remember the important judgment. See, if we talk about last year's, then the 377 verdict was an important one. The Shabrimala judgment was an important one. These were the important judgments, which we'll get from newspaper. I do not recommend going to concentrating too much on judgment for people who do not have PSIR and public administration as their option. The case studies part, most case studies and examples you'll get from newspaper. Other than that, Niti Aayog publishes some good case studies. Niti Aayog had published a resource book on good practices. That is a 2016 or 15 booklet. But I had used case studies from that booklet during this year's mains. You can use it. There is case studies like about PDS, Public Distribution System. There is E-Arun PDS, which is an initiative of Arunachal Pradesh that I had used in this year's mains. So you can take case studies from that booklet. Then I guess from government websites also you'll get some case studies. But you do not have to go through every website every now and then. Then if the need be, once in a while, once in a month, you can check the website of various government ministries or Niti Aayog to get some case studies. That would be enough.
Okay. And another question was taking notes daily on current affairs. What would be your take on that?
I had told you I had not prepared notes for prelims, but I had prepared notes for mains. I had prepared notes for mains from newspaper that I used to make in Evernote. Other than that, I didn't used to prepare too much current affair note, because I used to read the Insights Daily Current Affairs on my laptop, so I used to note it down there. Only if I find some initiative so important and I'm confident that I can use it in mains, I used to clip that in the Evernote. Vision, I used to take printout of that material. So again, I had that printout copy, so I didn't used to make notes from that.
Okay. And a very, very important question is, ma'am, there are times when you get a series test or you do a test series and you score low and you feel down. And especially in the whole process of the journey, you are you're a very rare case and pretty very epic at that. But a lot of people try again and again for years and years to finally crack the UPSC. So what would be your recommendation to people who can't get it on the first try or who have to keep trying again and again to complete their big dream?
See, like I told you, this is a journey which includes a lot of trials and tribulation. There might come, everyone may not be able to clear it in the first or second attempt, but we have to take that risk. If you want to reach at that goal, if you have a strong aim and you want to be a civil servant, then you have to take this risk of writing this examination and again. I know there is a lot of emotions at play there, but you have to convince yourself, you have to tell yourself that you can do it. That is something I used to tell me. After my first peer interview, when I lost all hope, after my first peer interview, I had my mock interview the very next day. So the whole night I used to tell me that I can do it, and that works. See, if you give confidence to yourself that you will be able to do it, that benefits you a lot. The other way, how I used to manage stress was I am a person who writes diary. So I used to write all my worries and all my tensions in the diary, and I used to again talk to myself and console myself. Yes, you are going to do it. This is how I used to manage tension. But then see, I know this is quite a difficult journey, but we have to, like I told you, we have to take this risk. There is no other option. Either you can sit without taking risk and believe that you are not going to clear the examination, or you can take the risk. Study, analyze what is required, study what the UPSC needs, what they recommend, and then appear for the examination. And that risk taking is the only option that you have.
Okay. And this has come repeatedly, though you explained it. Can you just brief about a CSAT paper again? I think the person has been asking again and again about CSAT.
Okay. So people who are not comfortable with CSAT should prepare for the paper. I'm not comfortable with the CSAT paper. So I had prepared, I had analyzed the previous year question paper. So the topics that repeatedly get asked are average, simple interest, compound interest, time, speed and distance, time and work. So I wrote down the formulas for all the important formulas in all these areas. And I used to I used to solve so many questions. I used to see, there are different type of questions. If you take average itself, there are different kind of questions under that one section. So I used to practice different types of question in that one section itself and get and try to get the answer correct. That is how I did quantitative. Then for seating, for the analytical part, for syllogism, seating arrangements, blood relation, again I had worked these areas as well. I used to solve question. The only way to study CSAT is by solving question. I think that is how speed. See, while doing quantitative question, you need to improve your speed. So it's the case with reading comprehension. So practice makes you perfect. So practice CSAT questions if you are not comfortable with it.
Wonderful. And another question was arts and culture, especially your roots about Kerala. How was that learning? How was that experience? Learning about your roots, your arts and culture. Yeah.
Art and culture. The resource I used to study art and culture was, there is a book by Nitin Singhania and Fortune Notes. I used to read both these notes. Fortune Notes was a bit more comfortable because Nitin Singhania is quite a large book. It's like some 350 pages, and it's so boring to read art and culture continuous because that is full of fact. There would be details about this temple, the stone with which this temple is made. So it's difficult to learn. But again, analyze the previous year question. There's a trend. See, the type of art and culture questions that are being asked is somewhat same. The importance for Bhakti, Sufi areas, for literature, for art, dance, the classical dance forms. These are some of the important areas. So if you're able to identify the important areas, then we can concentrate on these areas and prepare diligently those areas. That is how I used to do. But I had referred these two books and read that book. See, it's not easy to read art and culture. The first time would be so much difficult. It would take hours. But read it some 4-5 times, and by the 6th time you will get some facts.
You'll get used to it.
And that facts will help you.
Okay, wonderful. And what the question was, another important question was, especially during this lockdown, how can students like us or other aspirants utilize this time properly or as a long-term strategy, sustainable strategy? Okay. How can we improve our writing speeds or be general knowledge or writing better papers for the mains? How can we work during this time?
Read newspaper. The first thing would be read newspaper, because you people might start your regular preparation some 1 or 2 year down. But if you read newspaper from now onwards, you will have an idea of what is happening. You will know, okay, these have happened. See, for example, say after 2 years you are going to give an examination. There is an if you are going to study India-China relation, then if you have read the newspaper now, you know that okay, so there is a border conflict involved. There is issue at LAC continuously. This is how things had come. So this knowledge will help you there. So as a long-term strategy, start with newspaper. Then if you have time, like if you are able to manage with your regular academics, at your graduation level, start reading NCERTs. It's not much difficult to read the 6th standard, 7th standard or 8th standard NCERT textbook. So start with NCERTs and the newspaper. That's a very good idea.
Okay.
Like after 1 year, when you seriously start your preparation, this will help.
Okay. And another very common question was, she went to Fortune IAS Academy right after. Did you write the exam right after you graduated, or did you take a gap year to study and then write it for the first time?
I took a gap. I graduated in 2018. I prepared for 1 year, 2019. I gave the 2019 prelims examination. So I had prepared for 1 year. I didn't give the examination after graduation. And I wouldn't have.
Most people have a tendency. Yes, first attempt. I forgot about it. Yes, definitely. Yeah, she talked about the interview experience, but there's a lot of speculation and controversy regarding the UPSC interview. Like, what would they ask my name, the background of my name, what should I learn for the interview, what are they going to ask? Can you just brief that again? Because fundamentally, at the end of it, it is the most deciding factor, the personality test. So your experience once again, and any tips on how to build ourselves better to be, ourselves better in a way?
So the first preparation, like you have to start from your name. Like you have to know yourself while preparing for your personality test. You have to know your name, where you come from, the background of that area, the graduation subject you did. See, you have to know everything about you and what you did all these years. Because in personality, ultimately, they are not going to check what you have become in the past year or during your preparation phase. They are going to analyze what you have become in these 23 or 24 or 25 years of time. So you have to know your background. See, everybody does that. I also Googled the meaning of my name, the historical background. I searched the importance of where I come from. I had studied about Tirunelveli. So the first thing you have to do about while preparing for interviews is to know yourself better, your place, your subject, your family, everything regarding that. After that, you have to be aware of what is happening, current affairs. See, there is a detailed application form which we have to fill once you clear the mains examination, and we call it DAF. They will have that detailed application form. Every board member will have DAF in their hands. So there is a high probability that they'll ask questions from hobbies. See, we write our hobbies, we write our leadership skills, what we have done. So there is a huge chance that they'll ask from your hobbies. I had questions from my hobbies. So these are the areas about you which you need to prepare. Even when you have joined an environmental club during college just for fun, you have to you need to prepare something when you are going for the personality test. Then you have to know about current affairs and your optional, your graduation. These are things that everyone prepare for the interview, and then you can get questions from different areas. That there is a interview is a subjective experience. They can ask things about anything, but mostly it will revolve around your lives. But they'll make you more comfortable. They'll not stress you at all. This is something I wanted to tell. Like, people think that they'll stress you so much. They'll ask. There is a rumor like UPSC asks there is a lot of speculation that they'll stress you. They'll make you so uncomfortable. Not at all. They make you so much comfortable. Not just for me. If you talk to anybody who had gone to interview this year, they'll make you comfortable because they do not want to stress you. They want to know you. They want to check whether you are a better person. You are good enough for this job. So if you stress that person so much, they will not be able to judge you. So they are not going to stress you. They might ask questions you are not comfortable with or you do not know. That can happen. But they are asking questions you do not know just to check how do you handle such a situation, because ultimately you are going to be an administrator and there might come different points in your service where you will be stressed or you will not have any idea. So they just want to know whether you can calmly handle it. I guess that is the only reason for them asking questions from areas that you are not comfortable with. They will not stress you at all.
Wonderful.
And
that is very
you can
very
smile.
hopeful as well. That's great. Do you think the model interviews and the YouTube and all that are very serious and not for smiling? It's a very complicated.
They might not smile back, but you can smile.
That's wonderful. And it's almost been an hour. And how are you looking for? Did they give us any notification of when the Missouri orientation would be? And looking forward to the posting? What are your thoughts and how do you feel?
There is no official confirmation regarding when the FC foundation course would start. But again, various people are speculating that it will start by September end or October starting. But then with COVID, we cannot be sure. But I'm excited. To go to Missouri. I've never been to Uttarakhand.
Oh, okay. First time. And is there any specific place you're looking for? Is there any vision for the country that you have in your mind, being a very important officer, to say the least?
See, if you ask me like the areas I would like to work with, I had this question for my interview. My chairperson was Sujata Mehta ma'am. She's a former IFS, Foreign Service Officer. She asked me the areas I would like to work with. So the areas I told was education, because I believe in the power of education. I think it's a great instrument. You can change the life of a person and many people associated with that person through education. So I want to do something in the education front, then for women and child development and the health front. These are the three areas I told to her that day as well. So that is my vision. But then I hope to work as an honest officer. and that's the only thing I want to
Wonderful.
do.
All the best. You are literally a very huge inspiration for an ICE aspirant as myself and a lot of others at college. We're all looking forward, and nothing short of a huge, huge achievement is what you've gained for yourself and for
Thank
Kerala,
you
for the
so
nation, in
much.
fact. And we wish you all the absolute best from our
Thank
part.
you
And
so much. Thank you so
everything
much for having me.
we
Thank you
are
so
honored, ma'am.
much for having me.
And
It feels a
any other
privilege,
questions?
and I'm so humbled to hear so many good words from everyone. So thank you.
We are
I'm so
humbled, ma'am. We
thankful.
are humbled. And for the guys listening, all the questions that you've asked have previously been answered. So please, I think a recording would be shared if you ask for it. Otherwise, please check online for other answers. And concluding now, and I guess we'll end the meeting now. And thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.